Welcome to this week's mini masterclass. Today, I'm speaking to all you ladies out there who are over-explaining yourself, right? This is for all you ladies who feel like when you're speaking that you got to over-explain, expand too much, just because you have this fear that, you might be misunderstood. Let's be honest. You've lived, you've led, and you've earned your voice. Okay. So why are you still explaining yourself over and over when you speak? Now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Guilty as charged. I've done it. I still do it. However, I'm getting a lot better at it. Now, perhaps this resonates for you. You're in a meeting, you're on a client call, maybe you're on a podcast, or you're posting online, and instead of saying the thing clearly and really letting it land, you wrap it up in a nice bow of disclaimers, justifying your position, or circling back again and again and again. Why? Why does this happen? Because somewhere deep inside, even with your wisdom and experience, you've been taught, do not rock the boat. Don't be too direct. Don't make anyone uncomfortable. But here's the truth. Over-explaining is a habit of self-doubt, not leadership. Over-explaining is a habit of self-doubt and not leadership. And if you really want to lead with impact, your voice needs to land without apology. No sorries. Sorry, not sorry. Now, when I first started using my voice more publicly in corporate boardrooms and on the stages, live videos, I noticed something really strange. The more I cared about the message, the more I started over-explaining it. I'd say something really powerful, direct and true, and then I'd quickly want to add, so what I mean is, or I hope that this makes sense, or just to clarify. And I see myself still doing this. So why do we do this? And why do I still continue to do this? Because it's a practice, right? Remember, it's a habit of self-doubt. Because I was afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of being too assertive. I was once told I speak too corporate, afraid of taking up too much space. But what I didn't realize is that every time I over-explained, I ended up watering down my message. And worse, I was unconsciously asking for permission to be heard. And that moment changed everything for me. I don't get it right all the time. Because even with all my experience, my heart and my knowing, I was still doing it. And I find myself still doing it. And I know I'm not alone with this because I observe it often with women. So let's unpack this a little bit more of where it comes from, particularly for us women who are over 40, where we're really leading from our heart and why we might be over-explaining. Many of us were raised to be nice, polite, accommodating, and not come across as too bossy or emotional. And even here's the thing, it's not just about how we were raised, it's societal conditioning that's happening. And what ends up happening is we become pleasers, people pleasers. And we've spent decades in service of families, clients, teams, and this need to be liked, or understood still lingers. However, I've noticed there is a revolution taking place right now where women have had enough of saying sorry, enough of being people pleasing. We say that we are doing this, but unconsciously our words and our actions are not matching because we've had the habit of speaking. I just want to clarify, or over explaining. It's a learnt habit. And so we also need to unlearn that habit. So the other thing that comes up is this fear of judgment. And I think we all know this, right? Especially as heart-led leaders, we care so deeply about the people that we're here to help and serve. But sometimes that care can cross over into fear. Will this offend them? Am I being too much? And I know I one of the ways that I even communicate in my own community, now I say this with love. I always say, I say this with love. Right? And this is also can be over explaining, right? Because we have this look, I hope you still like me after I tell you the truth, or, or what I really want to say. And this is seen as something that has been embedded, embodied in us for a very long time. Judgment, this fear of judgment, this fear of fitting in, being liked, so we people please and we over explain. The other way that it shows up is perfectionism in disguise. We often think clarity means saying it 5 different ways to cover all bases. The perfection is like, so I'm going to say it this way, and if that person didn't understand, I'm going to say it this way, and then I'm going to articulate and show it that way. And what ends up happening, we're over explain. But clarity isn't about repetition, it's intentionality. It's not about repetition, but intentionality. So how it shows up, it can show up on our client calls where you explain your pricing, your value, your method over and over and over again until even you sound unsure. It shows up in team leadership. You give directions, but then you backtrack, you soften the edges, and you repeat yourself for the fear of sounding too demanding. So that's when we start to minimize what we're actually asking or leading. On social media or on videos, you post long-winded captions where your core message gets lost in the swirls of explanations. And we can sometimes mask that as creativity. I get that. Like you are fully expressed, etc. And in visibility, you feel like your voice isn't landing. And it's not because the lack of substance, but because you're hiding behind safety language. Now, let's be clear. This isn't because you're not smart or capable. We all know that you are. And I'm hoping that you know that too. It's because you've been operating for years in environments that rewarded shrinking, not shining. You've been conditioned by society and in different environments to shrink, not to shine. But not anymore. One thing that you can do to change this is to use the power of the pause. When you say something really important, let it land. Don't rush to explain it. Don't dilute it with fluff. Don't check in for approval. Say the thing, then stop. It's really uncomfortable. So I want you to try this. Before you speak, ask yourself, what's the clearest, most direct way I can say this? And trust that that is enough. Then say it and breathe. And let the silence amplify your words, not swallow them. This is really difficult. This is so difficult. It is a practice. It's a practice of the pause. For a very long time, I was able to articulate a message really clearly and direct to the point. I even questioned that. Maybe I'm not explaining it and painting the picture. And then what I ended up doing, I started to over explain. And then I started to learn the habit of over explanation rather than being really direct with my message. And so, like many of you, I have learnt that that's a behavior I've learnt that I need to unlearn. So if you find yourself over explaining due to your nervousness, your fear, then I want to invite you to place a hand on your heart before you speak. In fact, do this together with me now if it's safe for you. And I want you to affirm that my words are worthy. My presence is powerful. I do not need to explain my truth. Again, my words are worthy. My presence is powerful. I do not need to explain my truth. Repeat that until your body believes it and is on board with it. Here's the truth. Over-explaining is exhausting. It depletes your energy, it clouds your leadership, and it teaches others to question your authority. When you speak with clarity, confidence, and calm, people lean in and they listen. Because your words don't just fill the space, they create impact. Now, if you're ready to speak less but say more, to lead with your voice, and to step into being seen and heard unapologetically, let's do it together.